the shooting range. In this episode, Pages of History, Unattainable Maximum, Squadmates, Dominating on Kuban, and Metal Beasts, Provisionally Multirole. Not long ago, we've presented a top French fighter, the famous Mirage 2000 modification CS5. It turned out pretty good for air superiority, but its close air support capabilities were a bit lacking. Today, we'd like to talk about another member of the 2000 family, one that's ready to fix that flaw. Please welcome a two-seat multi-role strike aircraft with the index of DR1. This machine is propelled by a bypass turbojet engine with an afterburner. Self-sealing fuel tanks are found in the fuselage and wing consoles. Additional drop tanks can extend the flight time. The nose cone hides the onboard radar station. There's no forward-firing armament installed, but 9 hardpoints can carry conventional bombs and rockets, as well as air-to-air and air-to-surface missiles. Laser guidance is provided via a targeting pod. Despite its fighter roots, the new Mirage can't boast much in air combat. Its acceleration dynamics and top speed feel pretty modest compared to most Gen 4 fighters, while its maneuverability might be deemed questionable. Yes, it's easy for this aircraft to reach sharp attack angles. Yes, it has a good G tolerance, but its speed loss is simply too significant, which makes this Mirage an easy target. Lacking flight performance is worsened by a deficit of weaponry. All this aircraft has is a couple of all-aspect missiles for close-range combat. They're pretty good, but it's more of a self-defense tool in top-tier battles than a way to achieve air superiority. In mixed battles, however, the new plane turns into a perfect hunter, ready to demolish anything that moves on the ground. Even better if it stays still. We believe the best loadout to be Magic and Nord missiles, as well as GBU-12 bombs, 2 of each kind. You could opt for bigger caliber bombs, of course, but even the smallest are often enough, and those are the only ones that come in pairs. This Mirage is pretty simple to use. Spawn, pitch your nose up right away, and climb to at least 7 kilometers of altitude. In the meantime, start looking for your first target using your targeting pod. By the way, thermals can help you spot some vehicles faster. The quality is admittedly poor, but after you see a contrasting spot, you can switch back to the normal channel to recognize the object. Once you've decided on your target, lock onto it and use your air-to-surface weaponry. Missiles are the best tool against more dangerous or moving targets, while bombs are good against those trying to make an ambush. Continue with the climb while the ordnance is on its way to the target. The targeting pod can look back, too. Repeat the process until you're empty, and check spawn points for enemy aircraft, drones, and helicopters. There's still a couple of air-to-air missiles, remember? The top Mirages cannot truly be called multi-role fighters, but they excel at their priority tasks and complement each other well. The story of the only Panzer III the Soviet Union ever bought is still a hot debate among many. One of the versions claims that the German tank managed to pull 70 kilometers an hour and even outraced the BT-7. How's that for a wonder weapon? Reality, as it often happens, was less outrageous than the legends, but still curious. Back in the summer of 1940, the Soviet Union was still trading with Germany and purchased, among other things, a single Panzer III Ausführung G, one of the last tanks with a 37mm cannon. It reached the shooting range in Kubinka near Moscow in June, and only a month later, the Germans transitioned to 50mm guns. The study conducted on the machine led to a conclusion that its top speed was 70 kilometers an hour. However, it didn't mean that the tank was truly capable of moving at such a speed. It's a paradox, all right, and to understand it better, we have to explain how top speed is defined. Let's take a BT-7 for our thought experiment. Here's the engine roaring up, and the tank begins to move in first gear. The revs go up, increasing the speed of the vehicle. After a while, we reach the limit, and the engine cannot go faster anymore. We switch to second gear. More time, and the engine hits its limit again. Switch to third, and here's the final limit. The engine reached the top of its capability, and there's no more gears to switch to. We cannot go faster than 54 kilometers an hour. So the speed of the tank is limited by its transmission, despite the fact that the engine still has some juice left to accelerate a bit more. Now let's do the same to the Panzer III. It has no less than 10 gears. The first 3 are used in complicated cross-country conditions, so we can start with the fourth one. Here's the engine revving up to maximum. We're shifting gears many times. Here's the 10th gear. The speed is 60 kilometers an hour, and we see the engine hitting its limit. It can't even reach its top RPM since it can't produce enough torque for it. So here's the thing. Each tank has 2 top speeds. One is limited by its transmission, the other one by its engine. As a rule of thumb, the lower of the 2 speeds is the only one mentioned because it's the only one that matters in practical usage. But the tests of this German tank produced an unexpected result. The Soviet engineers might have been interested in the potential of this extraordinary gearbox, so their reports mentioned the top speed achieved with the last 10th gear at maximum RPM. They didn't mention that the Panzer III never reached this speed in real life. Now, one might wonder, why would the Germans even use such a gearbox if the tank couldn't reach 70 kilometers an hour anyways? Well, it's all about the wrong choice of gears. It was a major flaw of the design that was impossible to fix. See, the gearbox used the same gears for different speeds. If they changed the gear ratio only for 10th gear, the other gears would be affected too. This issue was also present in later machines. The Tigers, for instance. Their transmission top speed was 45 kilometers an hour. In reality, however, the heavy tanks never drove that fast. And that's how a wrong interpretation of a single number produced a whole legend about a racing Panzer III. It's been a while since we last shared some tips on how coordinating the activities of only 2 players can lead your entire team to victory. Let's fix this. Today's map of choice is Kuban. We'll talk about the northwestern part of the map in our first scenario. The start is the same for both sides. Both you and your squad mates need to head for the bypass road. Later choices are different for opposite teams, though. The lower team players need to split in square D2. One should head for point A, while the other one should continue moving to an elevated area in the center of square C2. It gives a view on all approaches to the capture area, and thus provides good cover for the ally. If required, the player on point A can climb to C2 from the enemy side and clear it together with the ally. But victory requires at least 2 capped points. If your team is having issues with another one, you'll have to take initiative. So let's head to square C4. One of the squad mates needs to occupy the hill that gives control over all approaches, while the other one needs to go down to capture the central point. It's better to take the enemy's approach to it to complicate your opponent's defense. Once point B is yours, you might want to get back up to your mate and pick a defense sector. The top team has a different approach. Instead, players should clear the hill in C2 together, after which one of them can safely go down to capture point A. Once it's yours, check up with your team. If the second point was successfully taken too, all that's left is defense. The best position for this is found in square E3. If your allies have been unsuccessful, you'll have to attack point B. The best path to it lies through squares D3 and E4. This way, you can attack from behind. Next, free the central capture area, seize control over it, and go back to the familiar square E3. The second scenario takes place in the southeastern part of the map. The tactics are the same for both sides. The main position here is the hill in square F6, so put your best effort into occupying it from the very start of the battle. You can reach this place in multiple ways. The shortest roads go through a few dangerous shooting lines, so we think they should only be used by the fastest tanks. The safest, but longer routes, go along the ravines on the map borders. Even the slowest machines can safely make it to the destination here. Once both squad mates are near the hill, one should remain on the climb to control the other side of the slope. The second partner should capture point C and drive to the climb on the enemy side. Now you can direct your attention at another point to cap. One player should stay in F6. It gives a good view on many approaches, including the roads leading to the central capture area. The other one, covered by their ally, should head to point B. Once it's taken, hold your positions. Even at this distance, you can support each other. And finally, we'd like to remind you one more time, each battle is unique. The scenarios we share can and have to change depending on the current situation. In any case, the key to victory is coordination. Don't hesitate to share your favorite positions and tactical decisions. Meanwhile, we'll answer some of the questions you ask us in the comments. The first question was sent by a player called Aj the Flame. What's the difference between the British Phantom FG-1 and FGR-2? Hi Aj! The FG-1 modification was made to be used on aircraft carriers. The most significant change is the longer nose landing gear, which allows for a higher wing attack angle when using the catapult. The FGR-2 version was made for ground airfields. By the way, this Phantom received some recon capabilities, hence the additional letter in the name. John Merrick asks, does losing your landing gear on fixed landing gear aircraft make you have less drag? Hey John, yes, losing fixed landing gear reduces drag. Just please be careful trying to break it off. Another question comes from Sprockwheel. What does the BF-109 G6 have over the G2 that makes it lose so much performance? The new 13mm is only 12 kilograms heavier. Hey there, Sprockwheel. Besides different weaponry, the 6th version has a ton of smaller changes, from the engine afterburning system to longer landing gear to additional bulletproof glass. The changes increased the mass of this plane by more than 150 kilograms, and this couldn't help but affect the aerodynamics. That one RAOT guy writes, how can I precisely aim my CCRP when the target is not a base? Hi there. You can't pick one single tank as your impact point. So the result of CCRP bombing only depends on where you place the mark. Don't forget that conventional bombs don't have any guidance. Even a ballistic computer can't turn them into precision munitions. And the last comment for today was written by Mirsal. Can we do custom loads on prop planes? Hi Mirsal. Some prop planes have already received this capability. Look for the American Sky Raider and the Soviet Su-6, for instance. That's all for today. You've been watching The Shooting Range by Gaijin Entertainment, and the next episode will premiere the following Sunday at 4 p.m. GMT or noon Eastern Time. Subscribe and click the bell if you don't want to miss our next videos. Don't forget about your New Year's resolutions. Leave a like, share your thoughts and comments, and see you next week.